Hi, this is Jaime with Kindred Being, and I want to talk about how to use a pendulum. And this process was really important with me at the beginning of my awakening, teaching me how to communicate with my spirit guides, that I did have spirit guides. How many spirit guides did I have? What were their names? What were their roles in my life? So I used a pendulum a lot for this, and I also used a pendulum to get messages directly from my spirit guides and angels. So I want to show you today how I use the pendulum. And the first thing I do before any energy work or communications with spirit guides through pendulum work is I open my crown chakra. And I do that by just imagining a spinning movement above the crown of my head and just allow it to open. You'll start to feel energy there. You can feel little prickles or movement, pressure on your crown chakra. And then I imagine a pillar of source light coming from above. So I like to imagine either white or golden white light coming from above in a pillar directly to my crown chakra. And I like to allow that energy into my body through my crown and just kind of relax all of my muscles and anything that I've been holding on to, any anxieties or any blockages. Just letting that go and letting that love and light from above fill me. And this is a process to raise your vibration as well. And then I like to set an intention to call in my spirit guides, call in my angels for assistance, and let them know that I want to communicate with them today. And I intend to do that by using the pendulum. And I haven't had much trouble with this, but a lot of people would like to maybe smudge before a pendulum session, or I like to use my personal energy sometimes as well and create a protective bubble. So just imagine that white or golden white light as a protective shell around you, keeping all lower vibrational entities and energies away, and just welcoming in the highest vibrational beings to communicate with you through your pendulum. And I want to show you the pendulum I'm using today. This is a crystal quartz pendulum, and it has a labradorite bauble. And the reason why I like to use crystal quartz is because it's an amplifier. So it can amplify your intention throughout the universe, and also it can amplify possibly the answers that you're getting from your spirit guides for your communication session. The labradorite is important because it kind of activates your other senses, your third eye, and communicating with your spirit guides. So that's why I use this pendulum. You can find this pendulum on our website, kindredbeing.com. And the first thing I want to talk about as far as pendulum work is the hand movement. So I'm going to hold the pendulum like this in my hand. This is what works best for me. Again, there's all different kinds of ways to use a pendulum. This is how I like to do it. And if you feel any movements in your arm, I like to stabilize my elbow when I can. So, on a table or on something stable. And if you feel any movements in the muscles of your arm, it might be involuntary. And you might even get some movement from your elbow, moving your arm in this fashion. And this could be your spirit guides moving your muscles and using your arm and your hand to create answers for you. So you might even feel like little fingers kind of moving the muscles in your hands or in your arm to give you the answers that you're seeking. So that's a really interesting thing when that happens. And you might even see the pendulum moving in kind of strange, unnatural ways, which is also very interesting when that happens. That's kind of confirmation that your spirit guides are indeed assisting you to move your pendulum. And I want to talk about how to get simple yeses and nos on the go. So say, you're bringing your pendulum with you in your pocket or your bag or wherever you go, and you have a question and you want a simple yes or no answer. Well, you can use your hand for this. So how I do it is I start in the center of my hand. I'm going to try to do this where we can all see. In the center of my hand with my pendulum. Always center it first. And then you ask a question. So everybody's yeses and nos might be different. Different fingers. For me, a yes is my index finger. So the pendulum will move from the center of my hand to my index finger and back and forth to give me a yes answer. A no will be my thumb. So the pendulum will move from the center of my palm to my thumb, and that's a no. So we'll see if we can get a yes and no. Right now I'm in kind of an awkward position and I want to show you what this looks like. So we'll see how this works. So I'm just gonna release and allow, and I'm gonna ask my spirit guides, and I'm not stabilized so I might be a little shaky, but I'm gonna ask my spirit guides to please show me a yes. And it might be a very small movement. It might be a very large movement. I don't know if you can tell, my index finger's here, but it's moving directly towards my index finger now. And then I'm going to ask it to center, which it did on its own there. And then we're going to ask to see a no. My thumb is here. So I'm going to ask, okay, it's already doing it. Yeah. There's a no. I'm not sure if you can tell that that's a no towards my thumb, but that's a no towards my thumb. So we're going to do this a little bit later in a kind of a different view where you're just focused on my hands, and my elbow's going to be stabilized, so you're going to see the pendulum working in action without the disturbance of my own movements. So that's how to use your hand for a quick yes and no. And I also want to show you how a pendulum board works. Now, you can create your own pendulum board. We give these pendulum boards free with our pendulums that we sell at Kindred Being. So we have a pendulum necklace and the pendulum you just saw me use. We offer those on our website, and this will come with it. And I made this one up. And this is a good... this is the process that I've worked out that works best for me. This is clear for me to get answers, A through Z answers, and we're going to go over all the pieces of this and how it works. So again, I have A through Z here, and all the pendulum work starts in the center. So right here is the center, and when I ask a question, it's going to begin to spell the answer, and it's going to use one of these channels towards the letter of the answer, and then we're going to write that letter down, but I'll show you the process later. There's also a space button, so that is a space between words to show you that that word is over. We're going to start a new word, but the sentence isn't over yet, so we're going to continue the thought and just put a space between the words, just like you would do on a keyboard. There is a number button, which I like to call these buttons. There's a number button, and I'm going to show you how we use that in a minute. There is a period, so again, of course, that's the end of a sentence, but it's saying that the thought isn't over yet. That's just the end of that sentence. There is a back button. So that's saying that we've got something wrong. So maybe we've got a letter wrong. We want to go back and try the last letter we did again. And if you get several backs in a row, 2 or more backs, it could mean that you need to start that whole word over again. If you continue to get backs, you might need to start the whole thought over again, which can be frustrating. It can be a lot of work, but sometimes, you know, when you're in the zone, everything just flows. And I'm going to show you how the number works. So if you get the number, that's saying that your answer is going to come in number form, and that's telling you to go to the number board. And on the back here, I have a number board. And I'm going to show you this again in a minute. So here's the number board, 0 through 9. We also have the space saying, you know, those numbers are done. Let's go to new numbers. There is an A that's saying go back to the letter board. We're done with numbers. We're going to use the letter board now. There's a period or a decimal for the numbers, which can be used quite a bit. And there's again a back button saying we've gotten a number wrong. Let's try that again. Let's go back and do that number again. Again, if you get several back buttons, you might have to go back further than the last number. We also have the yes, no, and rephrase. So if you don't want to use your hand for yes and no, you can use the board here. So you'll start in the center again as always. You know, this direction for a yes, this direction for a no. Rephrase is saying, ask your question again. Maybe ask it with more clarity. Simplify your question. Really think about the question you're asking in a clear way to get a clear answer. So that is the Pendulum ABC board. And I'm going to change the view of the camera, and we're going to do some pendulum work here on camera so you can see exactly how this works. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I have the camera focused on my pendulum board on my tray here that's sitting on my lap. I have my elbow stabilized. And again, we always start in the center. So I'm just going to ask it to center. And usually when you ask it to center, most movement stops with the pendulum. And I'm going to go ahead and start on the yes and no portion. So I'm just going to ask, are my spirit guides here to communicate with me today? I'm starting to get some movement. Are my spirit guides here to communicate with me today? I have the board faced towards me and it's beginning to move. And I'm getting a yes. My spirit guides are here to communicate with me today. Okay, so we're centered here with the pendulum board facing me, and I'm just going to ask kind of a general question. Let's see what we get today. I'm going to ask, tell me something that's important for me to know about the new earth. So we're starting to move, and I'm going to wait until there's a clear letter. And I think this is a P. Looks like a P to me. And if you're not quite sure, center please. If you're not quite sure if that was a P or not, you can use your hand. So move back to the yes or no to your hand. And you can say, was the first letter a P? Is the first letter in your answer a P? And it's going towards my index finger, so that's a yes. It's a P. So I also have my clipboard here with some paper here, and I will show you afterwards exactly what this looks like, but I'm just going to write a P. If I can get this pen to work properly. Okay, I'm going to put a P, and I just put them all in caps, and I've got the first letter of my answer. So let's go back to the pendulum board, and I'm just going to thank my guides for giving me the first letter of a P. I'm going to ask what the next letter in the message for me is. Something important for me to know about the new earth. Okay, I'm getting a big swing here. And to me that looks like an R. So again, I'm going to go back to my hand just to be sure and say, was that an R? And I'm getting a swing towards my index finger, which is a yes. So I'm going to go back to my clipboard and write down an R. So we've got a P and an R. Let's go back to the pendulum board. Say thank you for those letters, P and R. What's the next letter in the message? What's important for me to know about the new earth? Starting in the center. It's kind of slipping. We're getting some movement. Okay, that looks to me like an E. So I'm going to ask, was that an E? Yes, that was an E. So go back to my clipboard. And write an E. Okay, so we have P-R-E. Don't mind my handwriting, it's really terrible. Okay, center please. Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to ask for the next letter in the message, and we're already moving pretty good here. That is another P. I think we might know what this word is going to be. So I'm going to write down the P. Center, please. What is the next letter in the message? We're just starting to get some movement. Okay, so I'm seeing, looks to me like an A. So, is the next letter in the word an A? And that's a yes. So I'm going to write that down here. A. Let's go back to the pendulum board. And can you tell me the next letter in the message for us about the new earth? Okay, that's a big strong R for me. So I'm going to write that down. I don't think I have to ask about that one. That's pretty clear that that was an R. Okay. What's the next letter in the message for us about the new earth? What do we need to know about the new earth? Oops. I'm getting some movement. Okay. I'm pretty sure that that's moving towards the E. So we're going to ask, was that an E? Yes. Okay, so we had a little bit of equipment failure, and we missed a little bit of the pendulum work, but what I wanted to tell you was that as I'm doing the pendulum work, I'm able to see energy. I can't see colors and auras and all that just yet, but I can see the energy in auras. So I usually see like a white light kind of cloud around things, and I can see that around crystals, but as I'm doing pendulum work, it gets very, very bright right around the crystal. So I wanted to share that I am seeing bright energy around the crystal as we're using it. And what we missed with the equipment failure that I didn't realize was happening is we got a space and we got a P and an L as well. So we didn't catch that on camera, but that is what we got. And I think I lost my pen, so I'll have to try and find that in a second. Okay, so let's get back to work. And center, please. We have a P and an L. What is the next letter in the message for us? And that looks like an E to me. So I'm just going to ask, was that an E? And I'm getting movement towards my index finger, so that's a yes. Now I'm going to have to try and find my pen. Okay, I found my pen and I'm writing the E down here. So we have the beginnings of another word. Okay, so let's get back to our message. What is the next letter in the message for us? What do we need to know about the new earth? And I'm getting a big swing here. I'm getting an A. That's for sure an A. So I'm going to write that down. I'm going to try not to lose my pen this time. Okay, center please. Just going to kind of move this away from me so my body isn't moving it. Okay. What is the next letter in the message for us? Okay, that looks like an S to me. Big swing towards the S. Was that an S? That's a yes. I'm going to write that down. Okay. Center, please. What is the next letter in the message for us today about the new earth? Okay. We're not getting real big swings because I'm kind of holding the pendulum chain pretty close to the pendulum just so that you can see my hand and the pendulum moving. Usually I would give it a little bit more space, but I'm pretty sure that was an E. So let's ask. And it's saying yes, and I didn't even have to formulate the question. Okay. So I'm writing that down here. And let's see what happens next. What's the next letter in the message you have for us today? Okay, it looks like we're getting the space. So that's the end of that word. Okay, I apologize for all the cuts in the video, but we are having a little bit of technical issues here. So we just received a space after the last word. So I'm going to write it here, the space, and we're going to continue with our message. So I ask that my spirit guides assist so that we don't have any more technical issues. Okay, and what is the next letter in the message for us about the new earth? That is very strong. I'm thinking it's an R, but I'm not sure. It could be an S. So first I'm going to ask about the R. Was that an R? And it's saying to me that looks like a no. So center please, was that an S? That was an S. Okay, so there you see it's helping us to decipher what letter it was. So I'm going to write an S down here. And let's begin again. Okay, center please. And again, I usually hold the cord or the chain a little bit higher up to give more room for a swing, but for the purpose of the video, I'm holding it a little bit closer. What is the next letter in the message for us about the new earth? Okay, that is a big clear O for me. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, let me position. And my elbow is stabilized here. What is the next letter in the message for us, please? Okay, that's another big one. That's another big O. Thank you. Let's write that down. Okay. What is the next letter in the message for us about the new earth? Lots of movement, lots of movement. I think that is I'm pretty sure that's an N there. Okay, let's just ask to be sure. Was that an N? And that's a yes. So let's write that down. And let's see what happens next. What's the next letter in the message for us today? Okay, that looks like a space to me, so it's ending that word. So I'm going to go ahead and write down a space. What is the next letter in the message for us about the new earth? Okay, I'm pretty sure that's another space. So I want to talk about how I use this. I didn't mention it before, but that's how I know that the thought is over. So I have it arranged with my guides, you know, I let them know exactly how to communicate with me best, and when they give me 2 spaces, that means the message is over. So I'm just going to ask to be sure. Was that a space? I'm getting a yes. And I'm going to ask, is the thought over? And I'm getting a yes. Okay, this is pretty exciting. I'll show you what we have here. This was our message from my spirit guides and angels about something important we need to know about the new earth. And I hope you can see this here. It says, prepare, please, soon. So that's pretty exciting that we got that message on camera today. So this is how I use a pendulum. This is the process that works best for me. And I'd like to encourage you to use your pendulum as well to receive messages directly from higher vibrational beings, spirit guides, angels, and the like, and to receive your own messages. Please stay tuned for more videos. We're going to have more videos providing more information about all kinds of exciting topics. So don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for being a part of this video today and this communication. And this message is not just for me. This message is for you too. With love.